Hi, it's Zeke with the Eastside Church of Christ in Baytown, Texas. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Looking Up. You know, you see some strange things on church signboards. There was one I saw recently that said, "Don't let worries kill you, let the church help." I didn't know how to take that. There's another one that said, "God answers email." But another one that I saw kind of had me wondering. It said, "Jesus is your password to a better life." Now, on the outset, that might not seem all that big a deal. I mean, after all, doesn't everybody want a better life? Don't we often extol the virtues of Christian living? Well, yes and yes. But for some reason, I kept equating that sign with another saying I hear all the more frequently lately. It's, "Jesus wants me to be happy." But when I look at the early Christians and the sufferings that they went through, it seems like Jesus wasn't at all their password to a stress-free life. If anything, their allegiance to Him brought them pain, persecution, and suffering. Hardly your best life now, as positive preacher Joel Osteen would put it. So if you're thinking that Jesus is some kind of silver bullet to pain-free living, maybe you ought to ask some people some things. For instance, ask Stephen, the first Christian martyr, how those rocks felt as they pelted the life out of his body in Acts chapter 7. Ask Paul about the many persecutions and beatings and imprisonments that he endured. Ask James how Herod's sword felt as it sliced through his neck. Ask the Apostle John what it was like to be boiled alive. Ask Peter what it felt like to be crucified upside down. All for their allegiance to Jesus. You see, Jesus didn't provide them with a password to a pain-free life. You see, there's this persistent and wrong notion today that Jesus died to simply make our lives more comfortable. And the very thought belittles the suffering of countless Christian saints who were martyred, who were persecuted, who endured horrendous suffering simply because of their steadfast stance of confessing Christ's lordship. Jesus, if anything, didn't promise pain-free living. Instead, He promised suffering and persecution and difficulty if we're going to stand with Him. So can you have a better life now because of salvation in Jesus? Oh, absolutely. But it's better because of a living hope that we have of something far better that's beyond this life. Something better than merely a pain-free life in the here and now. So let's not treat Jesus as though He's some kind of self-help guru. Jesus is Lord. He's the King of Kings who demands and deserves our obedience, even when and especially if it's hard. Today's Looking Up verse comes from the lips of Jesus in Matthew chapter 5, verses 10 through 12 in His Sermon on the Mount. He said, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven." So Jesus doesn't necessarily want you happy, but He does want you blessed, and He tells us how. Well, thanks for looking up with us today, and we hope we'll see you again. God bless you.